Well, I'm super excited. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to share some things today that will hopefully help you in your family relationships, your couple relationships. It's been a wild and wacky year, hasn't it? It really has, with so many emotions, ups and downs. The kids come home from school, and I come home now from work, and it's just trying to juggle so much. But they come home in March and have this 5-month summer break. And it was, what do we do? What do we do with these kids? So we have four teenagers right now. And so I don't know about you, what your feeling was when they went back to school, but this is how I felt when they went back to school. I was super excited, and then of course they were excited. I had to throw the mask on them because they're just thrilled. Aren't we all thrilled with these masks? But really, family time took on a whole new meaning, didn't it, during this time? It was a lot of family time, a lot of interactions, and for some that was wonderful, and others that was very stressful. I remember going out to get the mail several times a day for hours at a time or days at a time, and then coming back, and it was a lot of us time when we get on each other's nerves, but it was a lot of, for some families, it was wonderful to have more family time, some more interactions. So let me begin by asking you these two questions. I've asked these same two questions to over 1,300 people. It's the shortest study of my career in academia. And it was simply this. The first one, to me, life is all about, and fill in the blank. Honestly, take a second and put something in there. One or two words. Well, what would you put? And the second question, similar, if I died tomorrow, what I'd miss the very most would be, and fill in the blank. Well, what would it be? Now, as I analyze these answers, some of these first ones, they weren't too surprising. Family, children, relationships, the majority, 36%. 18% said happiness, helping and serving others, the journey, the experiences, God, religion, improving yourself, change. But what was perhaps most surprising to me was what was not there. What's missing from that list? Work and money. In fact, very few said anything related to work or money. Now, that's not to say that work isn't important. I love my job. I love interacting with students and presenting on these types of topics. But that's not what life is all about for most people. It's about relationships. Now, the second question, if I died tomorrow, what I'd miss the very most would be, now, as I learned as a professor, you have to look at the wording of this question. Does anyone see anything weird with that wording of that question? So I got some smart Alex who said things like, I'd be dead and breathing, and that's what I would miss the very most. Another one said, I'd be dead. You can't miss anything when you're dead, dude. Some said, I thought interesting, the thing they'd miss the most, Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is what they would miss the most. Another one said, one person actually said, my cows. That's what I would miss the most. But again, overall, what was the theme? It was family. It was relationships. It was children. It's my marriage. That's what I would miss the very most. And others said things like life, laughter, experiences. So thinking about relationships and couple relationships and connections, which we've heard about today. Here's a study, a BYU professor, that looked at factors that predicted how long and how well we live in this life. What are some factors? It was a meta-analysis, so it's a study of studies that showed. Now, going from left to right, clean air, sometimes we would argue that in Cache Valley, right, Tyler, with some of the inversion and stuff that comes in, but not a strong predictor of how long and how well. Hypertension treatment, interesting. Being lean versus overweight, exercise, and other studies have actually shown that it's further down the line. Cardiac rehab, flu vaccine, right? What about this one? Quitting drinking and quitting smoking. So what are the two? What are the two strongest predictors of how long we're going to live? Close relationships, as we've talked about today. These relationships. So what's number one? The number one predictor of staying alive today is quitting Fortnite. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. You could take a picture for your kids and then you'd be like, hey, look, yeah, right. Son, you've got to quit. It's relationships. It's social interactions. So how is that different? Close relationships is who you're quarantined with. The close relationships, who we're quarantined with. Social interaction is everyone else that we see at work and at school and at church and all the other people that we couldn't see during quarantine. But look what they do to our bodies, to our health. It's huge. So taking a look at relationships, and it was mentioned earlier, we're all born with some needs. at least 3 fundamental human needs. The first that we're born with is safety. Now this is physical as well as emotional safety. This is food, clothing, shelter, peanut M&Ms, right? That's one of those fundamental needs that we all have. And when those needs are met and I feel emotionally safe, the emotion is I feel at peace. Yes, I feel like there's not this fear. The second need that we all have is satisfaction. This is a bowl of ice cream. This is a pizza. This is going out and going bowling with friends. This is doing fun, enjoyable things. But it's also contributing to a higher purpose and meaning. It's doing service. It's volunteering. It's doing something that brings us this cause, your why. All of us have this why. And that's what brings us this feeling of contentment. Now, a third need that we all have, talked about earlier today, is the need for connection. We all have that. We're born with this longing for belonging, this craving for connection with other people. And that is formed through all kinds of things, through gratitude, through compassion, through kindness and empathy and love and support. And the feeling there is the feeling of love. Now, the pandemic comes along, and it's very interesting. Studying these 3 needs, the pandemic is one of the few things historically that has ever wiped out all 3 needs at the same time, within a matter of a few days. Immediately, our safety is threatened. That's probably one of the most obvious, right? We're wearing masks, and we're social isolating. Satisfaction, I can no longer go out, and I can't go bowling, I can't go to the movies, I can't do anything outside that's fun anymore. And then connection. Social distancing, I can't stand the word. Physical distancing, we need social connection. But we couldn't get out our kids. That was one of the hardest things for us as our teenagers and cooped up, and they needed that social connection. You can't go to church, you can't go to the grocery store, you can't do anything to really see people, and even when you do see them, you can't see their mouths, you can't see their smiles. And so with this social connection, this importance, what did we turn to? We turned to Netflix. During this time of the pandemic, Netflix went through the roof. The subscribers and Facebook and YouTube, all these views increased. We see a huge increase in gaming, in the Fortnite. All of this goes up because where they turn to meet their needs for safety, satisfaction, connection, they're going online. The one thing that they can have access to is their screens. So social media for adults, the same thing. That goes up. TikTok, it was the highest grossing app in the second quarter of 2020. And kids, my girls are teaching me all these things, and we're doing all these dances and stuff. This TikTok, it was huge. What else are they supposed to do? And what else increased? Sales of toilet paper went through the roof instead of down the toilet. Okay, that was one of my dad jokes. Increase, and it means all 3 needs, right? Safety, satisfaction, connection, it's toilet paper. So where else did they turn? They turned to pornography. Worldwide, now this is right from Pornhub, worldwide traffic to Pornhub continues to be much higher than it was before the coronavirus pandemic spread worldwide. This is a quote right from their website. The peak increase of 24.5% happened on March 25th after we offered free Pornhub Premium to encourage people to stay indoors and distance themselves socially. What? They're courageously helping everyone social distance. We'll give you free premium. We're just doing our part to help everyone. What? Does that rub anyone else the wrong way when you see that? And they put that on there. I flipped a lid. United States, it wasn't much different. You see this. Oh, let's do this. It's free. What else? How do I meet those needs? Safety, satisfaction, temporary satisfaction, and false connection. And it's all right there. And they're turning to this. And you see this traffic increase compared to an average day. So as I looked at the website, the Utah Coalition Against Pornography, I applaud this uphill battle that continues to be had. And now there are 2 ways to approach problems. There's a problem to go against something, and then I looked on the website, the About Us, and I was impressed because it says we're empowering individuals, strengthening families, and uniting organizations in the fight against pornography through education and collaboration. So the emphasis there, strengthening families and connection. So not only is it enough to decrease something, but we have to increase something as well, strengthening families. Think about health and diet, for example. It's not enough just to decrease the sugary and the fats and to decrease those to lose weight. In addition to decreasing negative, we increase exercise, positive, healthy foods, enough sleep. And so with any kind of a problem, we have to have at least two approaches: decrease the negative, increase the positive. And my work as a family scholar, family scientist at USU, and as an extension specialist, is to help increase the positivity. And while others and other organizations are going to fight against something, my role is to increase connection and real relationships. And what does a healthy parent-child relationship look like? A healthy marriage relationship look like? So that's my approach today, is to share some things from the research that shows how to increase connection, empathy, and strengthening families. So the average 24 workday. This is, and again, this is going to fluctuate for everybody, but let's break this down a little bit. On average, the average American gets about 7.5 to 8 hours, again, average American, 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep. So that's already taken care of. What about work and the commute? It's about 8.5 to 9 hours. So now there's a big chunk that's gone. What's next in our day? Survival. Okay, this is not going to a 3-hour dance recital of your daughters or something. Sometimes that counts as survival, we think, but that's another category. Survival is more things like going out and grocery shopping. It's cooking, it's cleaning, it's your teenager's hour shower, it's those types of things, it's lawn care, those types of survival things. So now we have, what's this next category? We have what's called personal time. Now, as you look at this, those people who are sick or they're nearing the end of their lives, when they look back at their greatest memories, the most wonderful things in their life, what are they looking back at? It's not how much time they slept or how much time that they worked. It's this sacred space, this personal time, and how is it being used? Now, this is the family time. This is going out. This is going to the ball games. This is recreation time. Reading. Reading is actually down to 10 minutes. Under 10 minutes between those ages 15 to 44 is under 10 minutes a day now. So that's significantly decreased. Now let's take a look at this and see what screens have done historically of that personal time. Let's take a look. At 2007, what was launched? The iPhone. iPhone was launched, and Netflix streaming happened to be those two things. So of that personal time, this is how much in 2007 is taken up by screens. 8 years later, 2015, it's this much time is taken up by screens, any kind of screens. So TV screens and tablets and cell phones. In 2017, this much time is taken up by screens. Now you see that little yellow sliver down at the end? That's where the magic happens. And it's getting thinner and thinner and thinner. That slice of personal, real connection time in families, in couple relationships, and the things that we do with our time, it is taking up by screens. Something's got to change. Now, it's a colleague of mine, Brandon McDaniel, he coined the term technoference. This is when technology interferes with human connections, real relationships. And it happens all of the time. Whether it's a buzz in our pocket, we're putting our kids to bed and we feel that, our brain will immediately go to that. It's this, right? This connection of anything, this buzz, this goes off, my watch goes off, and I've got to take a look at this. Now, a little soapbox moment here. We've got to do better in two places. And one of those is eating out, whether it's at home at the kitchen table, it's the restaurant. So I take the Schramm fam, we get in the Schramm van, the Schramm fam gets in the Schramm van, and we head to San Diego, and I go and I'm presenting, great presentation, I take them out to dinner, we sit down, we're eating dinner, and I look over and I see a father-son, kind of a little, father-son outing, having dinner, I think, oh, isn't that great? And then dessert comes, and this child starts to eat his dessert, and dad gets on his phone. And for the next 10 minutes straight, not one word is said. Not one word is said. So I snap a picture of this, and I think, oh, it's heartbreaking to me. And then they get up and leave, and now notice it's the exact same table, because you see the people in the back. Another couple comes, and they sit down, and immediately, what do? They're on their phones. This is the time away from everything, and you have this sacred time together. And it's something else or someone else is more important than the person across from me is. And now at this point, my kids are telling me, Dad, you're doing the same thing. You're taking pictures of these kids. You're not even staring at us. Because I'm like, kids, look at this. If you're ever on a date and your date takes out their cell phone, you just call me and I'll come and take them. Now we another trip. My wife and I, we fly to Hawaii. Someone has to present in Hawaii, right? So I made the sacrifice. We go to Hawaii. We go to Duke's. Have you been to Duke's restaurant? Amazing place. We go there, and immediately, I look over, just the next table over, and I see this happening. I look right behind me at another table. We're in Hawaii at Duke's restaurant. Another one, and he's got his hand on one. And last night, my wife and I, we stay here. We go out to eat. What do we see? The table next to us. Woman's on her phone. The husband's just going through. Another one. A woman, her son, he's maybe 4 or 5 years old, and then dad is across in this booth, and he's on his phone. He has his phone in his left hand the whole meal, and he's eating, looking, and at one point he puts it down so she can't see as much, and he's doing this and eating, no talking. It's breaking my heart. So we have to do what I call K-toot and K2. We've got to kick technology out of beds, and we've got to kick technology off of tables, because that is our last holdout right there. Is tables and beds. That is sacred spaces where real connection takes place. In beds, whether it's our own beds, our beds of our kids, we've got to get it off of there. We've got to get it out of there. Tables, no, we have to take that away. Because our space is shrinking, and now we're taking it even into the bathroom. When's the last time you went into the bathroom without your phone? Guilty. You're all guilty as charged, right? We can't get away from it. All right, so let me share 5 keys for connection. 5 keys for creating better connection in our families, in our parent-child, in our couple relationships. First one is the escape key, right? More memories and good times. I just got done talking about how much our time and we don't have time, we're not doing anything. We need to do more things together, whether it's couple getaways, it's family interactions, it's hikes, it's walks, it's doing things where we don't have the little devices in our hands, where we can go out and make real memories, lasting memories, because looking back, this is what is most important to us, are these connections and these moments. The second one, one-on-one time. Huge fan of one-on-one time. Well, there's daddy-daughter Dairy Queen dates, or just dressing up. Halloween was one of our favorite holidays. Just dressing up and doing fun, engaging things that will create memories with our kids. Do that. Try that. One-on-one. Well, there's father, daughter, son. Do it one-on-one. You can do 2-on-1 as well, but establish that relationship, that connection, one-on-one with your kids. It's critical. Second key is the find key on the keyboard, and that is find more to be grateful for. We talked about it earlier, gratitude, the power of gratitude. I call it invisible work. Invisible work. Look for those things that you hardly notice until they're not done. What am I talking about? It's the laundry. It's the cooking. It's the grocery shopping. It's the cleaning. Those things that we tend not to notice until they're not done. And then we're like, oh, hey, where's my pair of socks? Or I need my uniform. Kids, look to be grateful for your parents for those things that you don't notice until they're not done. The gratitude is mentioned, one of the most powerful things. It's more powerful than any kind of a substance that could make you feel good. The studies have continued to show it helps everything from fewer suicidal thoughts to fewer aches and pains to feeling of support, optimism. It actually makes you more attractive, people who are grateful for. One of my favorite apps is the 5-Minute Journal. The 5-Minute Journal allows you to start your day with 3 things that you're grateful for. Writing those things down. And they have to be specific, and they have to be different every day. You can't just be, I'm grateful for my wife, I'm grateful for my dog, and for water, and be done. Because that does nothing. I've done a study, and if it's not specific, it does nothing for you. You don't even have to put it in a journal. They did a study with napkins, and if you write on a napkin of what you're grateful for, it does the same thing. You get the same positive benefit, because it's the process of actually going through, writing down, being specific about what you're grateful for. If you're a fan of TED Talks, you've got to listen to this one by David Steiner-Ross. He says, want to be happy, be grateful. He says this. He says, in daily life, we must see that it is not happiness that makes us grateful, but gratefulness that makes us happy. Isn't that great? You want to put that on Instagram, right? Gratefulness is the key to a happy life that we hold in our hands, because if we are not grateful, then no matter how much we have, we will not be happy, because we will always want to have something else or something more. One of my all-time favorite quotes. Because as a student at BYU, I had a professor who said, you can never get enough of what you don't need, because what you don't need will never satisfy you. Think about that with pornography for a second. You can never get enough of what you don't need. You don't need that, because what you don't need will never satisfy you. It'll never substitute for a real, genuine connection. That's why you can never get enough of that. So gratitude, expressing gratitude one-on-one. Yes, it's okay. Get on your cell phone, send your children a text of gratitude, because that is one of their ways of connecting. Third key is the insert key, inserting more kindness to them. Just simple little things. Now that can be they're buying their favorite snack to a note in their backpack. That can be, I know one parent who shared this. He said he was doing this with his daughter. Just, it's just really going at it. What do I do, Dr. Dave? I said, kindness. Find time to insert some kindness. So they said, all right, I'm going to do their laundry. I'm going to fold it. I'm going to put it on my daughter's bed, and I'm going to put a note. And on there, he said, I'm so sorry that we've been doing this lately. I love you. In fact, he said, I love being your dad. To me, that's a little bit different than saying I love you. I love being your mom. It is one of the most greatest blessings of my life, is to be your dad. That's different. Then he left a Hershey's Kiss on top of that. And that will melt this. Faster than almost anything is that kindness. In fact, Martin Seligman, the father of positive psychology, he has said that doing a kind act produces the single most reliable momentary increase in well-being of any exercise that they've tested. And they've done tests for decades and decades and decades. What boosts happiness? Kindness. It's turning outward. It's not about me. It's turning outward, doing something kind for someone else. And so my challenge, and I challenge when I speak and as I talk to students, I tell them to text 2 before 10. Text 2 people before 10 a.m. Try it for 3 days. A text of kindness, a text of love, a text of appreciation. In high schools, do this. Right before, I know in our kids' high school, they come on, they talk about the Good News Minute, they talk about the good things, and now do something kind for someone else today. Try text 2 before 10. Text your child, text a friend, say, hey, we need to get together sometime. I sure miss you. And it will lead to more genuine connections, is text 2 before 10. Another one that I talk about is I give out bookmarks to parents, and it's called Make Time for 9. Simple. Make time for 9. That's 9 minutes of face-to-face conversation. It's 9 meaningful touches per day that we need. A 9-second hug. The 8-second hug is actually wrong. You have to have 1 more second on it. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. It just goes with 9. So make time for 9. A 9-second hug, you just get 1 more second. 9-second hug. And then I think the most important 9 minutes of the day, I break them up into 3, 3, 3. The first 3 minutes when a child wakes up, your spouse wakes up, make that time, just whether it's cozy time. I remember actually waking up early, going downstairs, jumping into bed with our daughter, and just snuggling with her. Just 3 minutes is all it took. And I would put my hand through her hair and rub her back, and I'd say, you know what, today I think we should just stay home and snuggle. And she'd be like, yeah. Now, we didn't actually do that. But it was actually just those first 3 minutes of the day. The first 3 minutes when your partner, your spouse, your child comes in through the door, put away everything if you can, and make that time for reconnection. That's what it's about. Just reconnect. How was your day? Tell me, what was the best part of your day today? How did you do on your test? Follow 3 minutes is all we're asking. Because that's all we have, right? Our time is shrunk. And then the last 3 minutes of the day before they go to bed, whether that is story time or you're having family prayer. In our family, we do family happy thought. We have family prayer, and then I share one thing that made me happy that day. My wife shares a happy thought, and all of our kids, we share a happy thought. We focus on the good things that are going on in our lives. So we need to insert more kindness. The fourth key is the home key. That's more positivity and more love. Now, I did a study when I was at the University of Missouri of over 500 empty nesters. Any empty nesters here today? Empty nesters? Yeah, other hand. Now do this. Be like, yeah, I survived. Yes. Yeah, I survived. Empty nesters, that's who I surveyed, and I asked them several questions. One of the questions was, Looking back, what do you regret? Now, this one can be tough, right? I didn't mean them to send them into a depression, but are there some things that you wish you would have done differently? Pass that on to me, because I did this study simply because I get one chance to be a dad, and I want to be the best dad I can be. And so who better to ask? Empty nesters. So I asked them that. And then I also asked them, are there some things that you're so glad that you did that you want to share with future generations? What are some of the things you're so glad that you did? And as I analyzed and I looked at the answers and I looked for themes and published this study, one of the things that they regretted was how harsh they were and losing it with their kids. They said, I wish I would have been less harsh and less judgmental and less critical of my kids. In fact, as I looked through all of their answers, there was not one empty nester, not a single one that said anything remotely close to, if I could have them back for just one more day, have them back, just to have them little, one more day in our house, I would just spank them one more time. I would just, no one said that. No one said that. What? It was the less harsh. In fact, the thing that they did say is, I wish I would have been more positive. I wish I would have given them more love and more attention and just hugged them more and made more memories and good times. That's what they say that they wish they would have done. So more positivity, more love, doing those things to show our loved ones, our family members. We don't know how long we have with our families. So showing them more positivity and more love. Now, each of us are born with a negativity bias. We have several biases, and one of those is a negativity bias, meaning we tend to notice those things that bug us. In other people, we tend to notice the negative. For example, as you look up at that green grass and you see brown, our eyes are drawn to the brown. We're 5 times as likely to notice the negative and see mistakes. Who saw it? Who saw the mistake? Yeah, you see that? Our eyes are drawn to the mistake that I made in that slide. Same thing with our kiddos. They come home, they have 5 A's and a C minus. Where does our brain go? C minus, what the heck, in math, I thought you were going to talk to your teacher. They're like, Mom, but look at English. No, you said you're going to. We get harsh on the negative. We point out their flaws in the morning and how they're dressed, and this doesn't match. And we're heart on the negative stuff. So we've got to get good at being more positive and pointing out the positives in those around us with compliments and good things, building them up instead of being critical and tearing them down. So all of us experience emotions in the present. In the present moment, that's when we're experiencing these emotions, but many of our emotions are anchored either in the past or in the future. But notice the types of emotions, for example, that are anchored in the past. It is the grief, it's the guilt, it's the shame, it's the sadness. Now, it's not that you shouldn't ever feel, that's not what I'm saying. You shouldn't ever feel these emotions. Just don't set up camp there. It's okay to look in the rearview mirror of life, but just don't stare in the rearview mirror of the past. What about those in the future? Look at the future emotions. This is stuff about worry and stress and dread and anxiety through the roof. Where is that? It's all in the future. It hasn't happened yet. So if we are consumed, right, 11 million pieces of information hit us every second. We can only focus on 40 bits per second. So our brains have to really sift through. And if they're consumed with the future, the past, then we can't be enjoying who we're with in the present moment. Look at the present emotions. Isn't that interesting? That this is what we're talking about today with the gratitude, with the kindness, with the good times, the memories, the connection. Those positive ones are right there now, in the present, being in the present. And our phones and everything else, that robs us of everything else that's going on. So being in the present with our emotions. The last one is the Alt key. I could be even Control Alt Delete here. Altering our response, controlling our temper, our tongue, and our tone, and I could even throw in delete, deleting negativity. So much is in our response. When I talk as a bishop in our church, and I have youth come and they talk to me about their struggles with pornography. And I say, as I counsel with them, and I talk to them, and then I say, have you talked with your parents yet? And they say, no way. They would go ham. And the first time I heard this, I said, they would give you a ham? And they're like, no, they would go ballistic. They would flip a lid. They would come unglued. They would take away my phone, Bishop. There's no way I would dare to talk to anybody about this because of their reaction to this instead of their response to this. And that makes all the difference, is when we find out about the struggle, find out about another slip, we get so emotional and we react. We tend to react rather than respond. Not taking the hook. That's one of the most important things we can do, is not to take the hook. I'll give you an example of a hook. Our oldest daughter, my wife and I, were headed out to a meeting one night after dinner, and we say, hey kids, can you help us? Can you wipe the counters? Can you put away things? Can you unload the dishwasher? It's not that hard. It won't take you that long. And our oldest daughter, remember this, she gets up, if it's not that hard, then why don't you do it? And I was like, right? Talk about Dr. Schramm going ham. I was like, whoa. Now, I recognized it. I was like, don't take the hook, Dave. Don't take the hook. So I went up to her and kind of did one of these, kicked her in the butt, and I was like, hey, listen, if you can help us get the dishes done, you can have some ice cream when we get home, okay? So not taking the hook, learning to respond rather than react. Now, there's a reason they don't call them first reactors. They're called first responders. And what does a first responder do? They come upon an accident, a situation, a pornography problem, and they assess the situation. They're actually trained to stop, look, listen, respond. They check for heart rate and breathing, respirations, and we can do the same. With any kind of issue, we have got to learn, whether it's with a referee in one of our games or in our children or our partner, learning to stop, to pause, to take a breath, to look at the situation. How is this making me feel right now and why? It's making me angry and I'm about to go ham. Okay, look, view things from a different perspective. Think before you act. Putting myself in that person's shoes for a second creates empathy and compassion. And then listening, paying attention to the voice that's saying, yeah, jump on them, react. And the voice that is saying and whispering, people are more important than problems. People are more important than problems. And then choosing your response rather than the nuclear reaction and going off onto the person or that problem. So learning to be first responders rather than nuclear reactors. And it is more about, yes, it's about paying attention to our heart rate, but most importantly about getting our hearts right in that response. Here's the principle. Reactions ruin relationships. Period. Reactions ruin relationships. It's hardly ever, unless your child's falling off the counter or something and you're reacting. Yes, those kinds of reactions to help with safety. But overall, we've got to get better because those ruin the connections. It pulls up the barrier. And I'm not going to tell them because they would just react. If I told my wife, she would just react and she would divorce me. Learning to be able to respond rather than react. So those are 5 keys for connection that I hope will be a buffer that will help. Yes, pornography is fighting against it, but we've also got to create better connections in our family. So when the issue does come up, then they will feel like they can reach out. They will feel like they can talk and they can share the struggles that are going on in their life. And then we can learn to respond rather than react. Let me close with this. Have you ever had that day when you can't get your children to bed fast enough? Think back for some of you to when they were little, and you're just like, okay, yeah, and your heart rate's going up, and you're like, get in your bed, stay in your bed, stay in your bed, and you're like, $20 bill for anyone who stays in their bed, just stay in their bed. It was one of those days. I was at Mizzou, and our kids were like 8, 6, 4, and 2. Oh, yeah, this is stressful. And it was one of those, Dad, I'm coming out, I need a drink, I need to go potty. Okay, just stay in your beds. One more story. Okay, now, really, do not come out of your bed. I remember walking back to my bedroom feeling like, okay, I got to take a chill pill. Less than 5 minutes later, I heard it coming down the hall toward our bedroom door. My heart rate increases, and I was like, wait for it. And then I heard a noise on the bedroom door. I said, get back to your room. And I heard these footsteps take out. And I go and I open up the door, and there's a note. There's a note from our 8-year-old daughter. And this is a picture of the actual note. And she says, thanks a lot. I know it can be hard being a mom or dad, but you got to stick with it. And I thought, oh my gosh. Here's Dr. Dave with 10 years of school, and I'm the parenting pro, and I know what I'm doing. And I'm so frustrated, I don't know what to do. And some days you don't know what to do. Well, there's a pornography issue. But sticking with it. And then I'll leave you with these words. She says, look on the back. So I flip the note over, and it says, don't worry, we still love you. And I love that. Those who have struggles, the pornography issues, whatever issue it is, letting them know, don't worry, I still love you. Yes, things need to change, and you've got to stick with it. But don't worry, I still love you, and I'll help you through this. So thank you.